Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics round review. That's what everyone's feeling. Just take a deep breath. This round is over, and we are soldier on for the last few weeks of the season. This is probably the round that broke a few people, and a few people probably thought, nah, I'm checked out. See you later. But we will talk through it as a bit of a therapy session because we are all feeling the pain. But I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And the other co-hosts are busy tonight. Whether their fantasy teams either went well or they're busy or both, I'm the only one soldering on. So I've got a couple of special guests for me. And joining us once again is special guest jumped on a number of times, 2024 runner-up, coach of Pom United, Tom Hales. Tom, mate, how are you? Besides fantasy, how was the weekend?
Besides fantasy, the weekend was very relaxing, very chilled. Didn't do much, which was great after a couple of busy weeks at work. So yeah, and we'll talk about fantasy in a minute because that may have been a different story.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And jumping on to special guest, I believe making his pod debut as a special guest. He's one of the my fellow Hat Chat League 6 members, but he's absolutely killing it this year. Currently inside at the top 50 is Austin, mate. Austin, welcome to the pod, mate. How are you?
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. It's good to get the debut off the shoulder and get stuck in to a bit of therapy, mate, because I need it after this weekend. It's been a tough weekend of stress, thoughts, processes, and everything's just gone wrong, but not as bad as some I'm hearing. So we go on, we soldier on, and we go again next week, don't we?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Well, as I said, you're right in the hunt for it, mate. So you're currently inside the top 50. But how did you score? What was your round rank and where's your overall rank currently sitting at?
So I scored 2,116 this week, and that got me a round rank of 9,781. And I've gone from 36 to 41.
Yeah,
with a Rosie captain, and 5 minutes before the game, it was on Butters, and then just thought Rosie was coming into a big one, more reliable, and wasn't that wrong.
Yeah, I know that you were torturing yourself. So in the Hat Chat group, you were saying that if you put Butters captain, you were going to be, I think, 17th. I think it was about 5 minutes or so to go. That might have even gone up. But yeah, that's a tough one, unfortunately, mate. But you're still in the top 50. Still sitting.
That's it. There's positives.
So, yeah, exactly. I think 2,100 plus is a decent score this week. I reckon if you got around there, you'd be fairly happy. But Tom, you said to us pre-show, I told you not to tell us what you scored because you said it wasn't a very good weekend, unfortunately. So what was your score, your round rank, and where's your overall rank now sitting at?
So this was my worst 22 player week in 2 seasons. I had a 1940. And that was a round rank of 40,206. There will be ghost ships who have comfortably beat me this week. And that puts my overall rank back up to about 3,500. So up about 1,200 spots. Just a bit of a shocker, really. But you smile, you come on the pod, and you have a bit of therapy because this was a nightmare.
Oh, mate, that is a very, very tough week. I felt that. I think it was like round 11 when I came like 50,000 for the week, mate. So I feel your pain. I do feel your pain for sure. I got a 2091, which I think was probably around par-ish. I went up about 170 spots or so, 175 spots up to 4188. So didn't quite crack the top 4K, which is what I was looking for. But I did get back-to-back wins in Hat Chat League 6, which if anyone is in the Hat Chat Leagues, if you come bottom 4, you get relegated. And I've been bottom of the ladder all year, and I've got a couple of wins, and I'm probably going to climb up 1 or 2 spots. So we're creeping closer to saving relegation. I feel like I'm one of those Premier League teams that's trying to fight out of the relegation zone with a couple of games to go. But yes, plus and minus threes. Austin, we'll start off with you, mate. Who gets your plus and minus 3 of the week? And I know this is a week where we won't struggle to find out -3. So start with a positive first, and then we'll go negative.
So it's easy to just say Bont or Brayshaw or Dawson, but I'm actually going to go a bit different here with the +3. I'm going to go Bailey Smith. And that's I don't own him, but that's only because after 32 points in 10 minutes, turned it off, and he didn't give me 120. So I am +3 Bailey Smith.
Well, I guess 98's a score that most people are like, that's okay. We'll take it in a week like this. But it's a score, if you don't have him, you're like, cool. I don't have a 1.2 million player that put up a 98. So it's good. -3. Who are you giving that to?
Oh, gee whiz, there's plenty to choose from. We got Captain Courageous Fingers Rosie. We got Kennedy for 6 possessions or something, whatever he got. We got Nicky Martin, ACL, unfortunately. We got Cherry in the ruck for a 50-odd. But I'm actually going to give it to you.
And likely a 3-week suspension as well, by the way, with Tristan Cherry. But what you're going to say me?
I'm actually going to give the -3 to you as well, mate. I cannot believe the scenes on Friday night, 3/4 time, the rocket that you have sent out.
No. You're going to steal my +3. Don't say, I know exactly what you're going to say. We'll revisit this in a couple of minutes' time when I give my +3, because I have to give my +3 to that. Tom, your plus and -3 before we get to mine.
My +3, one of my 6 tons. I've got to give to Zach Butters. The trading this week, my trades went well. That's the great thing. The Bergman to Butters this week for a 50-point upgrade, which was fantastic. He was just awesome. All he's done is sure anyone who is doubting whether they're going to tag him for the rest of the year, he will now get tagged. So I would have liked him to have got there a little bit more under the radar than he did. But 125, absolutely awesome. -3. So I have all the players that Austin just mentioned. I will add to it a Rowan Marshall 70. I will add to it a Jaiden Newcombe 68. That is my fault for having Jaiden Newcombe. That's fully on me. Bailey Dale 60. Cheers, mate. Quality. Max Holmes 80. Great. Tom Green, Isaac Heaney, both less than 80. Just all of them. Probably me for putting together this side. I've gone from a round rank of 21 to 40,000 in the space of 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
Cheers.
Welcome to fantasy, guys.
That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'll get my -3 out the way because we'll chat about my +3 in a sec. But -3, I've got to give it to X. 58. I know Max Gorn's a tough matchup, but he's not a 58 tough matchup. And also just the cherry on top. There you go. The 3-week suspension likely coming his way or more. I think he'll be sent to tribunal. It would be great as careless because it was careless. Knocked out Sparrow. If anyone didn't see it, and Gorn pretty much went him straight away. So that's a forced trade for us all because people are going to, we'll chat about it after, but people are going to say you can put Jackson into your forward line, but then you're trading in a forward unless you can get a mid. But he's got to go with a multi-week suspension there. But Callum Mills is very, very lucky not to get it. 66 he was at 3/4 time. And he thought, Bales was pretty pissed off at Kyle Lohman last week for -1. I'm also going to do it. So he scored -1 the last quarter. Unbelievable and a great matchup. He's got to go as soon as I can fix him up. But that won't be this week, that's for sure. +3 is going to go to the guy that Austin was saying about this. So I messaged the Hat Chat group, the group. In the last few weeks, I've been very stressed, as the people in that league group chat would know. I said, Josh Dacos, why the hell did I trade him in? Awful trade. I'm trading him next week, all this stuff, right? Probably a few profanities probably mixed in there as well that I'm not going to say on the podcast. And then he turned into prime Gary Ablett Jr. and had an 82-point last quarter, Josh Dacos, and ended up with 132. So he gets my +3 for not only being a pod, but also the second highest scoring quarter since 2014, as Jaiden said before. The only one that was more than that was Nick Rewalt when he scored 200, when he had an 87-point quarter. That was just ridiculous that it was that big. There's quarter pounders, and then there's a Josh Dacos quarter. So, it was absolutely fantastic. But, Austin, you were I was going to let you finish that year as well. You were going to say, you're giving the -3 to me. Why exactly am I getting the -3?
As a non-owner, and you just see this happening in front of your eyes, I cannot believe that. I've seen rockets before, but nothing like that, mate. Like I think I said in the chat, I said, I don't even think Elon Musk could send rockets this big, mate. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have Josh Dacos. I get Josh Dacos was one of the 6 that get to go on the beers this week. It was absolutely outrageous.
Yeah,
and he missed a pretty easy shot at goal as well. It could have been big. It could have been more.
I don't think anyone could have expected that coming, could we?
No, exactly. So, and as Craig McRae said post game, they might be thinking about a little bit more midfield time, and I dare say should be. They've got an embarrassment of riches, Collingwood. Now that this is just another layer, they've also got like Houston and Perryman and Quainer and Maynard all at half back. That Josh Dacos probably doesn't need to be at half back, but I guess we'll find out what happens moving forward. Just a quick recap on the Content Creators Cup, proudly brought to you by Infinite Wealth. That is obviously Guesty's company, as we're all very aware of. So the Fantasy Fanatics this week, I got a 3rd win in a row over Nathan, 2091 to 2019. So I'm leaving my run too late, unfortunately. Bad start to the year, but at least I will not, I don't believe I will be on the bottom anymore, which is good. So that's always nice. Jordox and Jaiden were going head-to-head with each other, and Jordox coming out on top with a 21-18, so a solid week from him with Jaiden getting a 20-95. Guesty, unfortunately, going down to DT Lemon, 20-81 to 20-48 there as well. And shout out to Mitch from the Ball Boys. He's had a pretty tough year as well, but this back part of the year, he's certainly come with a bullet, that's for sure. He scored a 22-49 for the week, which I don't exactly know the round rate, but it'd be pretty high. He's now jumped all the way up to 1,305. So he's gone from pretty close to where I was ranked to now just outside top 1,000. So he is eyeing off a very nice finish. So congrats to him. Holmesy's still sitting in 32nd overall, so he's still going very strong up there. Lemon, I think he fell a few places, but he's still 184th. You've also got Nathan there at 496, so still inside the top 500 there. Louis at 654, and then a few coaches just outside the top 1,000 there. And then the head-to-head, it hasn't updated as of yet, but I think Louis went down, so that means that Holmesy would probably go to top now. Yeah, he'll go to top, so he's top for both the overall rankings and the head-to-head rankings as well. But that is the Content Creators Cup recap. So, boys, let's get stuck into these 9 games of footy, and let's try and talk through a few of these big problems we're going to have to be dealing with this week. So, first game, starting Carlton and Brisbane. Brisbane by 37 points. And I dare say, besides Friday night, most of the night games this week were pretty poor, and this was starting off because this was a pretty poor game of footy. But Brisbane certainly dined out here with a few big scores. Darcy Wilmot, 144. Josh Dunkley returned to some good form with a 137. Lockie Neal with a 127 as well. Jared Berry, 119. Will Ashcroft, 115. And Zorko with a 104. Could have been a lot bigger. He rested, I think, the final 5 minutes on the bench. That meant that didn't go bigger. And then a few Carlton players were mixed in there. Hewitt, 104. Cripps, 101. Chera with a 91, which this week is probably not too bad, to be honest. So I think you take that. But Sam Doherty, Austin, 69. I said on the watch song on Thursday night, I hate Matt Carroll. I hate Ollie Hollands. And I hate Lockie Cowan. They don't pass to him. It's unbelievable. But in saying that, we probably can't trade Doherty, right? Because we've got issues to deal with, which we'll chat about. But if anyone out there doesn't have a Tristan Cherry or a Nick Martin or a Connor Rozee, is Doc one of the priorities to trade out?
Yeah, I think he's just got to go now if you can. Probably, like you just said, there's a lot of names there that we have to get out before that. But I luckily traded him this week. I just thought that role that he was going, like he started strong all the time and just tailed off to the end when they switched his roles around. And if he didn't start well, like in those other games, he would have he could have been a 40 or a 50. So he had to go for me this week, and he did. But I think, yeah, if you can, you got to get rid of him because that role, he might even get dropped. The ball usage he's been doing is, I would hate to see his stats on efficiency, but it wouldn't be very high.
No, I don't think. I'm just actually going to get it up here for you, actually. So, disposed efficiency for Sam Doherty was 61%, which was in the bottom 10 players on the ground there. But to be fair, a lot of Carlton players were below 75%. So, he certainly wasn't alone. But yes, being a bit of an older player, that may spell some trouble. But could you believe I've got him as well? If he's out as well, geez, it could be big trouble this week coming up. And I had that decision between him and Bergman, and I went, I'll trade Bergman because he's probably going to play defence, and he did for a little bit. But that it is what it is. Kyle Lehman got a 61. Ashton Moy got a 50 if anyone brought him in on the bench as well. And that's pretty much that. So that was the main talking point there. So we'll move on to Friday night. Gold Coast and Collingwood. Gold Coast getting the win there by 6 points, but it was certainly a very close game in the end. And Tom, Matt Rao, when do we need to start, I guess, talking about this guy as a guy that we need to bring in? Because I've said for a while I'm not really interested because he doesn't mark the ball. It doesn't matter when he gets 13 tackles and double-digit tackles every single week. It's like 25, 30 possessions every single week. And he's now kicking goals. So, what are your thoughts on Matt Rao moving forward? Someone that we should be really considering? Or do you think that he said, 8 tons in a row?
Yeah, just a minute. I'm just going to do a little, try to find what his run is coming up, because he's going to be about 1.02, 1.03 million. Gold Coast have quite a tough next couple, but it could be quite. So this is the thing with Matt Rowell. I think he wants teams who play a heavily contested game so he can get his tackles. The teams who are standoff, give away loads of transition points, like your Richmonds, like your Gold Coast themselves. They're probably not the best for that role. I just can't bring him in at over $1 million, and I know that's me being very stubborn. But if you want to go, if you need a pod, there's definitely worse options out there than Matt Rowell. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Austin? What do you think of Matt Rowell? So you're someone that's right up there. Is he someone that's you're potentially considering as an option?
Probably not the next couple of weeks. I reckon they've got Adelaide and then into Brisbane, which would be two pretty tough matchups for mids. But I mean, if you get 13 tackles a game, it probably doesn't really matter how many possessions you get. But I think their draw opens up a little bit too. I think it goes Richmond into maybe Carlton or something like that. So which should be bang bang. So I mean, if he is a cheeky little pod, so but I don't know. There's just Noah Anderson scares me too, being in there. Like sometimes maybe like if he doesn't get his tackles, all the possessions will go to him. Like, I think maybe it's probably a bit too much of a risk for that price. You can probably find a bit cheaper guys.
I think the form of I think the form of Anderson is really helping him. Anderson's in great form, so Rowell's kind of just being let to do whatever he wants. Because any kind of you can't run two tags in the midfield. So if a tag's going to Anderson, then Rowell can basically go head to head against whoever, and he just piggybacks. He just he loves a piggyback tackle. Let the guys on, get the ball and tackle them straight away. So it's definitely an option, especially with those couple of good games in a couple of weeks. But I think the majority of us are going to have some interesting things to have to try and do this week.
Exactly. Josh Dacos, obviously we mentioned before, 132. Very, very good performance there from him. Noah Anderson with a 106. Obviously you mentioned him, Tom. 22 handballs there, but still 106. You take the ton definitely there. Darcy Cameron, 82, but very tough matchup against Jared Witts. Nick Dacos, this is a bit of a watch as well. So he copped a bit of an ankle knock early, and we know when Dacos gets a knock, and it's not going his way, this can happen. He can he'll get another knock or whatever, and he'll just sort of get to an 80 or whatever. We saw it in the Freo game earlier in the year, and we saw it again with the 78, and disappointing for a lot of people. And a lot of people would have given him the -3 if they had a Nick Martin captain, because we're all relying on Nick Dacos to get it done. And unfortunately, he did not do that. He was quite disappointing there, along with Sam Flanders, who also only scored the 58. He is just, last couple of weeks has just been really disappointing after looking like he was finally starting to put some good scores together. Another disappointing one, Ned Long. If you were forced to hold on to him, with forced trades now, if you need to hold on to him as well, that's going to be really disappointing as well. So that's the the flow-on effect of these forced trades this week is that now we're going to have to hold these players that we're probably looking at getting rid of the next couple of weeks, which is really, really unfortunate. And then Toot Miller, probably a draft one, but he got a hamstring injury early in the game, got subbed out on 33, so a disappointing one there as well. Moving over to the Saturday games, and I know me and Austin were pretty happy with this one. The Doggies and the Crows. The Crows winning by 11 points in a very, very high scoring, both scoring game from a goals point of view, but also from a fantasy point of view. Plenty of tons, but none more bigger than Marcus Bontempelli, Austin. It was the first performance I've watched this year where I've looked and gone, yep, there's Bont. He's arrived. He's back. He's been, it's obviously injuries and everything has played a part this year, but 37 touches, 8 marks, 12 tackles, 166, I believe is a career high for him. If you've got flexibility, you're training into a mid this week. Is he someone that should be on high on your radar if you didn't have him?
Yeah, I think if you didn't have him, he's probably the one that you can go to. But if you didn't have any other issues, but he was everywhere. He was back, wasn't he? What was he? A couple of weeks ago, he got a 50. Bloody did not look like anything like the same person on Saturday or yesterday. He was everywhere, marks, tackles, holding the balls. They were linking up with him out of defence. Like, that was the role is back. Like, he wasn't sitting full forward for half the quarter. It was just, vintage Bont, really. And it was actually good to watch, even though it was you didn't want it to do good, but
I thought he was single-handedly going to get the Dogs over the line in the end, to be honest. His last quarter, he gave Josh Dacos a run for his money. He scored 65 points in a. We saw some massive quarters across the weekend with some big scores. So Bont was certainly one of those, and the other captain of the Crows, Jordan Dawson, as well, 129. He was very, very good as well. So if you had both those two, you'd be very, very happy with that. But then Riley O'Brien, 126. Riley Thilthorpe, 122. Richards, 121. English, tough matchup, still got it done, 118. Jan Curtin continues to, his stocks continue to rise with a 114. He'll be a fantasy gun of the future, I'd imagine. And then you got Libba, Laird, and Soligo all getting some low tons there, along with Isaac Rankin, Tom. So 93, a few people jumped off last few weeks, but 93, and I looked at his scores for the last couple of months, and I'm not going to say we in the community we've overreacted with Rankin scores, but if you really look at his scoring, he's only had since he scored the 120 in round 8. Okay, he's only got the 1 ton, which was bang on 100, right? But he's only had the 2 scores below 77, being against Sydney when it was really dewy and they smashed him. Crows didn't score many points that night, and then Brisbane when it was bucketing down. Every other game has been fairly solid, and if you look at Chad Warner, Christian Petrarca, Caleb Daniel, they're all doing this. So I feel like, do you think with people that have got Rankin probably need to sort of just hold him now? He's fine at F6.
Yeah, as a Rankin F6er myself, he's so low down my priorities. Like, he for me is within 5 to 10 points max of the F6 in the best 22. So I think unless you've got an amazing side, I would either be looking to try and get a 23rd premium to loop with Rankin, or Warner, or Petrarca, or Darcy, or whoever else you've got sitting there. Matt Kennedy. We'll get onto him in a minute, I reckon.
But that's what
I don't think I don't think he's a priority right now, even without all the carnage. If you've still got a Doc or a Mills, or you've got some cash on your bench you can make a 23rd out of, we'll get to him very, very later. Another guy whose home's in Adelaide, plays the other side. I'd sooner get him in from 2 rookies than trade sideways Rankin for a 5-10 max upgrade for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Matt Kennedy. Well, he dropped the 30, right? We'll go to him now. 30 points. The role was pretty bad. He still had 12 CDAs, right? But he was just
the
a
role
lot
wasn't
forward.
Right. He was more forward than he usually was. I will say that his role wasn't absolutely putrid. He was still around the ball a lot. He just was nowhere near it. He was around the ball, but the ball just kept bouncing away from him. He got frees against. He just was one of those days for Matt Kennedy. Like, let's let's not overreact. I still think he's going to be a top 6 forward.
I think you can. I think you can overreact. He had 74% game time too, so it's not like he was low 60s or anything to give that excuse. Obviously, just the ball didn't fall his way, and yeah, it's just one of them games, isn't it? Hopefully, he comes back better this week. Yeah, seeing as we got a holding.
I wouldn't be shocked if that was one of those games that, like, we hear later on that he was sick during the week or late in the week, because his game time was a good, like, his lowest game time for the year before this was 73%. And that was early in the year when he had a few 74, 73. But pretty much since round 7, he'd been pretty much over 80% every game. And this was a fair bit down. So, yeah, probably got stuck on the bench. Just a bad game. A few people were saying about trading him. You're not trading Matt Kennedy there. He's still top 6 forward. And now with Nick Martin obviously out for the remainder of the year, the forwards have just got even weaker because we've lost a top 3 forward. And now that brings in those guys that are averaging high 80s, low 90s again. So
back him in and fingers crossed.
Yeah, the introduction of Ryder Garcia is a slight worry because he's another on-baller. But that was but Treloar was doing that role, and he still scored, and Kennedy still scored very well. So, and the Doggies have got a great run after Brisbane this week. A great run for inside mids. So, I wouldn't be getting off.
Yeah, you're holding for sure.
Yep. Sure.
Sam Darcy, 82 as well, was okay. Obviously, key forward, we know that they can be a bit up and down. 82, you definitely take that in a tough matchup. And obviously, we already mentioned Matt Kennedy there as well. Moving over to the twilight game, GWS and Geelong, and Giants getting a very important win there, 111-85, 26-point winners there. And it was used a big talking point last week. Lachie Whitfield, 120 points, and with the high break even, a few people, including myself, didn't want to go there. Thought, yep, let's wait a week. And it probably shows this week why you sometimes don't have to wait a week, because a lot of people, unless you don't have a cherry on Nick Martin, are probably likely not trading in defender this week. Probably not getting Whitfield, which I guess the only solace I can give the people that can't get him is he's probably still going to be cheap when we get him. He's got Essendon, which he'll probably go nuts against. The only sort of flair I could say is if Matt Guelphy came in, he sometimes does jobs. Then you have Braden Campbell week after for a potential tag there. But after that, we all need Whitfield in our side. So I'm just trying to make myself feel better with that, because I would have got him this week if it wasn't for these forced trades. So he was great, 120 points in his 250th. Tom Stewart looked, again, like the Tom Stewart, but it wasn't without an injury concern of his own. He went off for the first quarter, for the back part of it, and the start of the second with an ankle injury. And I think he said post-game something like, so at halftime, they asked him, is like, ankle all good? And he said, oh, yeah, just a couple of niggles every now and again. I'm like, couple of niggles? You've been injured all year, mate. Your body's breaking down. I don't think it's a couple of niggles. But anyway, good to see him score well there, along with Lachie Ash, who he's had one score below 89 all year. He's a gun, and he just keeps getting done. So if you got him, you'll be enjoying that. Austin was able to enjoy Bailey Smith's 98, and he didn't make it. I guess he didn't pay. He was looking like it was going to be a massive score, but
very dangerous.
A little bit quieter after. But Austin, one person that will be on a few people's trade-in targets this week for Nick Martin is Brian Myers. Scored the 87, so not huge, right? But good run coming up. Lack of good forwards. He's expensive, but we'll probably have to go somewhere. Is he someone that you might consider? There's a couple other options, but what are your thoughts on Brian Myers?
Yeah, I reckon at that price point around that, he's probably going to be about mid-900s, maybe 960, 970 now. I think his break-even is pretty high this week. So he's definitely someone that is probably going to be the one to look at. The Cats run coming up is pretty handy. I don't think they really played too many tough games. So as that link-up role, he's the man that they sort of want to have the ball in the hands. Although his kicking style I don't like looking at, but his fantasy scores, he keeps getting it done. So if your floor's 80s, and your ceiling's like 105, 110, hey, we'll take that in a forward line that's not very good.
Yeah, exactly. One person's not very good. Tom Green, 79 again. This. I actually worked out the other earlier yesterday, right? So I looked at this his last two games. He scored 129 points in 7 of his last 8 quarters combined. He had that one quarter of the 54 points, whatever he did last week, to save it. If you take that away, he's averaging about 18 points a quarter. For a premium midfielder, that's about $1 million. Bullshit is what that is. So you're not targeting him. He's lucky he's got Essendon, and he's lucky that we got forced trades, because if we didn't, I'd be seriously considering moving him across. But then again, not like there are a huge amount of midfielders that are dominating week in, week out anyway. But hopefully against Essendon, surely he can put up a score, but we'll see. Max Holmes, 80, was disappointing. Didn't really get involved for a lot of the games. Got there sort of late, but 80, it is what it is. He's got a good run coming home. He will be more than fine. Jack Martin's got a 70 for anyone that went there as well, so that is okay in a tough matchup there as well. Rowson, 58, continues some cash gen for us. We won't be able to cash out of that this week, but moving forward, we might be able to cash out of that at some point. Moving to Richmond and Essendon on Saturday night, and this is unfortunately where the weekend unravelled for a lot of people. But some big scores in this one anyway. Tim Taranto, if you held the faith, 132, biggest score of the season. He's got a nice run home. So if you've got him as a pod, I'd be holding, because I think he can put up some good scores moving forward. Archie Roberts, 120, probably a bit of a sign of... his continued growth down back for Essendon, more responsibility. He might be someone we're going to have to target in future years. A good score from him there. Jaiden Short returned with a 109, along with Boston 102. Zach Merritt, Jack Ross was one of the players I also hated from this weekend. Richmond have not tagged at all this year, and then they decide, at halftime, let's tag Zach Merritt. And I know it won the game, but I don't care, because I don't care about the result. I care about Zach Merritt's points. But I will say thank you to Zach Merritt at the same time, because if I didn't bring him in, unfortunately, I would have had his teammate captain. And unfortunately, that's what we've got to go to here, Tom. Nick Martin, 18 points. ACL. It's very, very obviously sad for us fantasy coaches, but also the Bombers can't take a break with these injuries. They just cop it every single. I think Setterfield's out for the year as well now. I think Hobbs is going to be out this week as well. So they're going to have to use every single person on their list. That's for sure. What I guess the plans is, you obviously trading. Is there someone in mind that you're probably going to from Nick Martin?
For me, I think it's just Jack. You got to go Jack Macrae. The St Kilda's run home is the best for inside mids by quite a deep, using DFS for quite a chunk. They have a green mile of loveliness. After Geelong this week, it's Melbourne, North, Richmond, Essendon, back to back. I think that is the most, because he's going to lose a lot of cash. Like his break even was 152, I think.
It's about 100
going into this week. He's going to be about just over 900k. Like he's going to be. Don't think you can have a lot of money to spend. I think Jack Macrae's the obvious target if you can get there. Bearing in mind, we also have a Ruck to trade, which we'll get onto shortly.
Yeah, exactly. It's, unfortunate.
I've got some cash in the bank, I'm really, but that's just, you might have to go cheaper. Like, that's the thing. Like we might be looking at Horn Francis as being, you have to go there because you need the cash. If you can get Jack Macrae, I'd do Jack Macrae. If you can't, then it's Horn Francis.
Yeah, I think I agree. Next score. Is there anyone else here from the game? Archie May got a 65, and I guess this would be good if we had like the. I think that again, this happens when the carnage hits. We get the discussion in the community about should we have a minus 40% toggle if they play less than 40% toggle, you get your emergency, or should we have a 23rd player on field like a flex position or whatever? So it is interesting for that discussion. I guess we'll find out what happens there. And a few people are like, I should have had Archie May score over Nick Martin. But unfortunately, that is not the case.
Would have been nice.
It's the game.
Yeah, exactly.
In my opinion, but
exactly. And Zach Johnson was the sub, came on 41, not huge score. Angus Clark 30. If you can cash out those guys, if you've got a spare trade, which I doubt this week, but future weeks you'll be able to cash out of those guys. Moving over to Freo and Hawthorn. And Andrew Brayshaw, massive score, 138 with 14 tackles. And Austin, they didn't really want to do the HIA for him because they thought, let's interview him instead, which I thought was quite funny actually. So this guy's bleeding, like it's bleeding heaps, and he's got the towel on his head, and they decide to talk to him. But 138 is, again, if you don't have Andrew Brayshaw, is he someone that should be high on your targets list?
Yeah, he should be very high. All the attention that's going to Sarong, he's just feasting at the moment, and his tackles are back as well. Like 14 tackles last night. Obviously, doesn't help with the bleeding situation. Did you see his jumper? It was like completely the whole chest is just red. But nah, he if you don't have him, I think he's probably going to have to be a must-have. I think looking at their run, they've got West Coast coming up too, so I wouldn't be surprised if he pops another ceiling score. And if you don't have him, it might hurt.
Yeah, agreed. Carl Amon, reward those coaches that have still maybe got him, or particularly in draft with a 119. Lloyd Meek had a massive game. He had 13 tackles as well, so he sort of brought out his, I was going to say Tristan Cherry, but he's probably on our sort of naughty list at the moment. So he brought out a very good performance with a 136 there. Jordan Clark, 113 was also good, along with Sarong, who did ton up there with a 103. Luke Jackson, 87. It's okay. It's in a forward line. He's obviously a top 6 forward, right? With all the injuries and stuff going around. His role was still fine. He had the 17 CBAs to Darcy's 18, so he still had a fair few CBAs as a mid. I think he'll still go well moving forward. And as Austin said, he's got the West Coast matchup coming up, which I think could be a good score for him there as well. Shea Bolton with a 74. If anyone out there still got him. Dylan Moore as well, the 70 with another save to get there. So coaches that got him would be disappointed with him at the moment. And unfortunately, Tom's boy John Newcomb with the 68 was again very poor, been very up and down this year.
Tackle. Do it.
That's the thing I don't. That's the thing I don't get. He set the record on debut for the most tackles, and he barely tackles now. Which is, I know his role's probably slightly different to when he started, but
with no Will Day in the side at the minute, he's becoming the I'm going on the fly guy at stoppage, which is absolutely horrendous for fantasy because he very rarely gets the ball. If he does, he very rarely takes it cleanly, and it means he's got no chance of ever getting a tackle at a stoppage. Yeah. And it's just, I want to get rid of him. I'm not too fussed about that. Like that just is what it is. That's 10 points if he flips that around. It's the lack of marks, lack of tackles. Now, this was a super contested game, and for him to get 2 tackles playing full time inside mid is.
That's the one. That's the thing, though, that I think that we've obviously noticed these mids. The scoring has dried up the last couple of years, and I think it is due to we don't have those mids anymore that rack up those marks and tails. I think Jordan Dawson's the one that comes to mind. He can have 22 disposals but still ton up. We see Dunkley do it a lot. We see Bont do it. Like Brayshaw to an extent when he gets his 5-6 marks, and he can obviously write tails like it is. But besides, I've probably forgotten a few just off the top of my head right now, but there's not a huge amount that do it week on week. We get a lot of the Tom Greens, the Noah Andersons, the Caleb Sarongs that'll get 30-something touches and have 2 marks and 1 tackle, and they'll score 102.
I think team defenses are so good nowadays that getting the 25-meter kick into the midfield to get a mark just isn't on anymore. Like it's marked along the half-back line, and then we're going forward to a contest and going from there. And that's why Dawson and Bont can get these marks, because they're 192 plus guys who can take a great contested grab. So hey ho, it's not all about my team. Next one.
The Hawks are becoming a very irrelevant fantasy side, though, aren't they? Not much. Not much happening for them. Sicily and
Dylan Moore and John Newcomb were the 3 that I guess were fantasy relevant, and we probably don't want any of them at the moment. So
yeah.
What's Sicily priced at? Just as a 674k, and he's going down. He is going to be so fun next year.
I don't know if I could touch it, to be honest, but I guess we will find out moving forward. But we will move over to the 3 Sunday games, which is where the carnage did continue. But as always, the podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Game Day Squad. And if you are sick of AFL Fantasy, like we probably all are, head over to Game Day Squad. It's weekly. You win weekly prizes. It's another AFL Fantasy platform. It's also got a heap of other sports. It's got the Premier League will be jumping on very, very soon as well. The season will be kicking off shortly. AFLW is just around the corner as well. So not only can you do AFLW Fantasy, you can also jump on there on Game Day Squad and play along there as well. And if you haven't signed up yet, use the code BAILSDT and you get yourself 3 free packs valued at $21 just for signing up. And the best thing about it is it's free to play as well. So it is very, very good fun. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do it. GameDaySquad.com.au and use the code BAILSDT at sign up. Let's move over to the first game on the Sunday, Melbourne and North Melbourne, with Melbourne winning by 36 points. And yes, we have to start off with probably the biggest story out of all this is that Tristan Xerri, very, very likely to be copping a 3+ week suspension for knocking out Tom Sparrow for just a clumsy act. And I don't know about you boys, but knowing the Xerri that we watch, it was probably bound to happen at some point. The way he plays,
he's not fit. Nah, he's not fit. He's definitely not fit. He's not jumping at ruck contests. He's moping around the ground. He's definitely playing hindered.
He's not looking for his hit outs either. He's trying to grab the ball and then get a kick, but Max just tore him apart and got there first. And
the big thing that Tristan Xerri would always do would be when he hit it down, he'd almost like be stalking whoever's got the ball, and he'd stalk them to then tackle them straight away. He doesn't do it anymore. Like he taps it down, and that's it. He's just a tap ruckman at the moment. He'll have a few tackles, and there's a conversation about the All Australian thing. Xerri's had a good year, but today showed Gawn's still the main guy. He's still the All Australian ruck. There's other guys who'll be in the mix. Tim English had a great year. Darcy Cameron, guys like that, but Max Gawn is the number one, but it's a forced trade. We'll chat about, I guess, quickly when we finish what we're looking at doing with him, because there are some really good options to be looking at, and there's one particularly that's very, very expensive that we may be going to. Harry Sheezel top scored in this game, though, with 113 points. Roll was still okay, had 13 CBAs, had a mixture of that and forward. But he did really rack up, particularly it was more. He was sort of consistent across the whole game, but the second half he was pretty good. There, I think he had a 40-point third quarter there as well, so he was good. Chris Petrarca with a 105, thanks to a 44-point last quarter, and Austin, I think that last quarter. I don't know if you saw that last quarter of that game, but it looked like the Chris Petrarca that we haven't seen a lot of the last few years, but he looked certainly back to his best.
Yeah, bloody oath, and there was a bit of a scare too with his knee.
Yeah, Xerri.
I think I heard in the after game that he reckons it was his ACL leg, so he just got a bit nervous, but he shook it off, and I think he even got a goal or a couple of marks after it, and it was bloody gorgeous.
Yeah, what was it? 1 goal, 1 the last quarter, 11 disposals. If you don't have him, is he's someone like obviously with Nick Martin out, you'd be looking at him if you didn't have him?
Yeah, he's probably the one along with Myers. I think for that price point, he'd probably be low 900s, I think. So it'd be pretty easy switch, I think. And their run is very good too, I'm pretty sure. They go
Carlton, St Kilda, West Coast the next 3, which is pretty nice.
Yep. If you don't have him, he's probably the one, I reckon. Oh, if you've got the rest.
Yeah, exactly. He had the second most CBAs on the ground behind Cozzy Pickett, who had 29. And I don't know if you guys saw this as well, right? Will Phillips playing at fullback on Cozzy Pickett was one of the biggest, I think, blunders of like a coaching decision of the year. Like, you put a defender on Cozzy Pickett in defeat. You don't. I think McKercher moved into the midfield actually for probably 10, 15 minutes while that was the case. I just thought it was just very, very odd that Will Phillips playing at fullback, but. Yeah. Anyway, Salem 103 was good as well, along with Luke Parker with a 102. Caleb Daniel, who back-to-back good scores, another 98. Again, plenty of kick-ins with the 6, and he had again quite second half. He normally goes quite in the second half when North don't really chip around much, but getting it done. I think if you've got him, I think he's still fine to hold. He's a bit like the Rankins, the Warners, guys like that at F5, F6. They're going to put up 80s, 90s most weeks, and I think you just hold them there for the time being. Kyle McCurch with an 88. Quite last quarter there with his role being shifted around a fair bit again, but that's probably going to happen with him. But still made a good amount of cash, and he's the least of our Warriors at the moment. Max Gawn with an 88, which we'll chat about him a little bit after when we chat about the Rucks and the Ruck situation. Oliver, 78. Again, just disappointing, just not really putting up any scores that are relevant, really. Obviously, I mentioned Cherry before, the 58, and thankfully got a tackle added late to get to the 58 as well. That's pretty much it from that game. So we'll come back to the Ruck situation shortly. We'll go to St Kilda and Sydney. Good game of footy, this one. Sydney by 5 points, and Jack Steele, 136. Look back to some of his best, Tom. 25 touches, 8 marks, 13 tackles for a massive score of 136. What say you about Jack Steele as an option?
I brought him up last week on Hat Chat as a possible guy to bring in. So I'm calling this as I called this. I didn't think he'd do it this week, but St Kilda have got a great run home. I think he's almost someone we need in the running. The running for St Kilda is silly good for midfielders. Geelong, Melbourne, North, Richmond, Essendon, then GWS to finish, and he's not getting a tag anywhere. I think Jack Steele is a very, very good option. He's in very good form.
He's returned back to the form the last 2 weeks that we saw when he averaged the 120, right? He's gone 130, 136 in the last 2 weeks. He's gone 15 and 13 tackles, 5 and 8 marks, and 26 disposals and then 25. So that's when Jack Steele's doing that, he's putting up big scores. So, I agree. Someone that we probably have to put on our list, but we probably can't get in this week, unfortunately. And if you can, he's an option.
Yes.
One player that we will be chatting about that we might be able to get is Brodie Grundy, and another 126. He was dominant yet again, 47-point last quarter. We will chat about him in a second, so I want to come back to him. Jack Sinclair, 103, looked much better today, obviously with Nasai getting a bit more attention there. So 103, obviously Tom mentioned about the St Kilda good run. If you've got him, you're not trading. I just think with this good run coming up, I'm even looking at him as a target I don't own. So if I'm saying that, I think you should be definitely holding. Jack McRae with a 90. He's obviously a big target now with the Nick Martin injury. Definitely look at him. Errol Goulden, 89, with a late goal as well. Bit quiet. I thought first quarter he was looking like he was on for a big one, but didn't really do much else after that besides kick the winning goal. So he'll be happy with that. But as fantasy coach that brought him in, you're probably slightly disappointed with the 89, but you've got him. A lot of people probably can't jump on now. So if you'll be happy with a bit of a pod there. Chad Warner with an 82 as well. Sydney's run is pretty good. So Austin is with the forwards. Is he someone that maybe if you can't get up to a McRae, and we'll chat about the rucks, but if you're getting a certain ruck or whatever, all you can get to is a Chad Warner, what do you think with him as an option?
I don't know. He's very up and down. Like, he comes in patches in games. Like, he might be sitting at full forward and you don't see him for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden he's in the midfield and he pops up for 5 handballs and a couple of kicks in a chain. It's like, where's it? Like, why can't you be like that the whole quarter? But he's dirt cheap. So if you're looking for cash and you need someone to, like your Martins, to go down to him to upgrade somewhere else, like a Cherry to a Gawn or something, it's definitely an option. And he's also owned by 20-odd%. So if you're looking to match people up the top, like probably myself, I've already got him. But if you're looking to match, you probably get him because he can drop his ceiling score on his day, can't he?
Yeah, and they got a few good matchups to finish the year as well. So could be someone to keep an eye on for sure. Max Hall, 73, kicked 3 goals in that as well. So if he jumped on, you'd be happy enough with that, but obviously just not as big a score as what we've had the last couple of weeks there. Nasai Wangani Miller, 73. I think a lot of us probably saw this coming. That's why I was saying a few people asked me, should I trade Nasai in this week? And I said, no, don't this week, wait a week, because we all knew he was going to get probably the Campbell or more likely the James Jordan tag. He'll be fine if you've got him. There's absolutely no worries. Tough game. The fact he still got to 73 is probably good because Jordan was certainly hanging off him a lot of the day. Rowan Marshall, the guy that is incapable of not giving away a free kick throughout a game. It infuriates me as an owner that he just can't go one game without giving away a free kick. But it is what it is. He had a massive last quarter to save it. But unfortunately, the Moose, Max Heath, played okay. So that could be another potential issue we have to deal with. So another one to sort of look at there. Callum Mills, on a normal week, he probably would be a trade out with that, but at least he's got North Melbourne. We can't trade him out, but maybe the week after he is someone. But I feel like I've said that about 10, 15 players already this podcast, that we can't trade them out this week, but maybe they'll trade out in the weeks after. They're going to be coaches that are just sort of shoveling the shit players another week and then have to fix them up next week. So it's just, yeah, it is a tough time at the moment. And then we got Hugh Boxall and Angus Hasty, both with 39 points. So they'll probably go up a little bit in cash on people's benches. And Bicey was the sub, made a return to the side, scored the 25. So there you go. And over to the final.
He also cost a few points to Warner too, I think. Oh, Bicey.
What happened?
Yes,
when you missed that. Yeah, I know the exact one you're talking about. You missed that kick. Yep, I
9-point turnaround.
I put a message in the chat and I said Bicey wasn't my favourite player at that moment. Moving over to the Port Adelaide and West Coast game, I probably have to chill with the messages. I reckon in the across anyone. I reckon I just have to just breathe and then that's it. But yeah, Port Adelaide and West Coast with Port getting the job done by 26 points, but it certainly wasn't looking like that for a lot of the game. But few Port guns came to play, but unfortunately, there was one that got injured in the third quarter. Austin, that was unfortunately your captain in your fantasy side, Connor Rozee. Again, we don't know the extent of the injury, right? But I guess when you're looking at Nick Martin, Tristan Xerri, Connor Rozee, I guess Connor Rozee is probably the one we have to hold, right?
Yeah, I think so. But if there's alarm bells ringing if your side's down in the start of the third and you're going off for a finger and get subbed out. So I'll be watching out for any news early in the week because, that screams a big, like a finger out, bone out of the finger or something, because usually you'd strap it up and get back out there. So it's a watch.
Yeah, I think they said I think Sean Burgoyne said at 3/4 time that he was struggling to sort of open and close his hand with the fingers. So that's concerned. That might be a broken finger or some broken bones in there. So, not great. A lot of us will probably have to rely on Tom McCarthy, who had some CBA stay, which was interesting late in the game, scored the 72. Certainly wasn't looking like he was going to get to a good score in the end, but we will take that. Zach Butters, fantastic, 125, along with his partner in crime, Jason Horne-Francis, with a 112. He will be one of the most traded players this week because of how cheap he is and because we're looking for a forward. And that he might come in handy if you're looking at potentially paying up for Brodie Grundy in the ruck, because you're going to need a lot of cash to bring him in. And Horne-Francis, 3 goals, was very, very good. Harley Reid, first ton in his AFL fantasy career as well with a 103. So shout out to him. First of many tons, I would imagine. Miles Byrne with a 78. Was looking good early. Played that midfield role. Spent, I think, a few CBAs forward, but then I think Alir was essentially playing on one leg for the second half or a lot of the game. So he played a bit in defence as well and really slowed down, which is unfortunately the reason that a lot of people were trading him this week and wanted to trade, because that role could just change literally at the drop of a hat. So great player, but yeah, unfortunately, if you can jump off, if you haven't already, he would be someone to go. Matty Liddy coming back in and scoring a 74, really good for his cash. He had a -6 break even, so going to go up a lot in cash this week and might be able to use him as a bit of a loot because Connor Rozee is probably going to be our red loot this week. I don't know exactly when he plays next week. Does he play? Oh, of course, he plays first game on the Saturday. Well, no, he won't be a loot. But yeah, anyway, next score on the list was, where were we? We're up to, McCarthy, we said 72. Rosie, 58, obviously, and was subbed out, unfortunately. And that was probably about it, I reckon, from that game. I think Job Shannon's got a 53. Good for cash gen if anyone's got him on the bench. But yeah, that's it from the game. So, boys, I think we'll quickly chat about these issues, right? We'll start off with Tristan Xerri, Austin. He's obviously out for 3 weeks. I think he's got to go. I don't think there's really any circumstance where you're going to be holding him at all. I think the 4 options that coaches will be probably considering a lot. Max Gawn, Brodie Grundy, Ryan Marshall, Tim English. How would you rank the 4 before you factor in price? And then obviously we'll go with that. So how would you rank those 4, Austin?
After seeing the Ryan Marshall Max Heath combo, you got to stay away from him. So he'd be down the bottom.
Yeah.
I'd say Grundy would be 1. English 2, even though he got a bath by Riley O'Brien. He scored very well still. So I reckon, you're going Gawn, English, Grundy, and then Cameron, probably. And I don't know if you've seen Lloyd Meek's scores the last few weeks. Sneakily doing very well.
Yeah.
There's an issue with Lloyd Meek. After Port next week, he goes red, 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 orange.
Yeah, he goes, Carlton, the dual ruck set up at Carlton, then Riley O'Brien, then Darcy Cameron, then Max Gawn, and then he goes Brisbane to finish. So, yeah, not great. But, yes, no, last 2 weeks, 138, 136, and before that, 99, 84, 120. So, certainly getting it done. If you want to be real rogue, you could potentially go there. But, yeah, so, Austin, you've got Grundy at 1. He's going to be priced at very, very close to 1.2, probably like 1.8, 1.08, sorry, 1.18, 1.19, around there. But I don't know if you've looked at his run, or if you haven't looked at his run, if you're listening now, go and check the run, because it looks amazing. And Austin, this is giving me Tristan Cherry back part of the year vibes of last year, where it's like he's expensive, but do you just think he's still number one regardless of price?
Yeah, I think so. If he's rucking against, God knows who, Bryn Teakle next week, it could be
Coleman Jones,
anyone. It could be danger if you don't have him. It could be a 300 on your head if you have him as a captain. So I reckon, if you didn't go Max Gawn to Grundy a few weeks ago, you definitely got to go Cherry to Grundy this week, I think. Just make it happen.
Yeah. Tom, how would you rank those 4 we chatted about?
Yeah, I would agree with that order. My little worry is we might not be able to afford that unless you've got a bit of cash. Grundy's going to be about 1.2 mil. Even so, Grundy and JHF will be about 1.95 million. And I don't think Cherry and Martin by themselves will add up to that amount of money. So you're going to need a bit of cash in the bank to be able to do that.
Could it be a case of could you go to like a Max Hole and get Grundy? Is Grundy that much of a guy that we need in the team? Or is it like, well, if you can get Gawn and McRae, for example, or Gawn and Horn Francis or Warner or whoever, is Gawn then probably the next?
To be fair, all three of Grundy, Gawn and English have got great runs to end the year. Grundy and English play each other. Not Grundy and English. Gawn and English play each other in round 22. But apart from that, it's quite a green run for all of them. And English will be about 80k cheaper. So I'm looking at English just purely because I don't think I can make the maths work to get up to Grundy.
Yeah. Do you agree that if you don't have Grundy and he's expensive, do you think if you can afford him, you pay up? Like if he's got
the best run and he's playing the best. Like we're 6 weeks after this week, you're only going to have five trades. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 sets of trades at the end of the year. You're just getting the best guys now. Grundy, I think, will average 125 to the end of the year with that run.
Yeah, he's gone 9 scores in a row over 110. And of those 9 scores, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 7 have been over 120, which is like that's the ruck pick. He's back. We've said it for a few weeks, but that's what we're missing. And for people that haven't looked at it yet, his run to end the year: a ruckless North Melbourne, GWS, which is Briggs, good matchup. Essendon, good matchup. Brisbane, they've been pretty good for matchups this year. Oscar McInerney's played injured, and when Darcy Fort's it's been good as well. Geelong, great matchup. West Coast, great matchup. I just think I think I'm definitely looking at, because I've got a bit of cash in the bank, thankfully. So I'm definitely looking at him. But I think Gawn, is the next guy to get, just because he's got a good run. Then I'd go, English and Marshall would be. Yeah,
English has got 4 greens out of 6. Gawn's got 4 greens out of 6. It's Grundy who's got the 5 greens. It's just he could and the form. But don't break your I wouldn't. JHF would be the cheapest I'd go in the forward line. And if you can't afford Grundy, you don't break your side.
I reckon Nick Martin to JHF and Cherry to Grundy will be pretty popular this week. I would expect.
Oh yeah.
I think I think as you said, Tom, you probably need a little bit of cash for those moves, but if you can make those moves work, I think they are definitely moves to look at. Tim Ashwell's got a couple of super chats here for us. Thank you, mate. Says rank went from 58 to 69. So, or I think it was the other way around, Tim. I think you were 69 pre-round up to 58. So, well, either way, still very, very good, mate. Still in the top 100 there. And he was also asking, is Rosie a trade along with Martin and Kenny? So, as we said before, Kenny's not a trade, but Martin and Rose, because I don't think you've got Cherry, Tim, actually, funny enough. I think you're one of the only coaches that don't have Cherry. But if you've got Rosie and Martin and they're both out, you can probably get aggressive and trade both, to be honest. So
Kennedy's a hold. You got to hold him.
Yeah. We are saying, like, Cherry might get off. That's a suspension, not an injury. So I don't think he will get off. I thought it was clumsy.
If he somehow does, his run is very juicy too.
Yes, and that's the point. Cherry's not a trade if he plays.
Yeah.
You've just got to hold Cherry and close your eyes when Sydney play.
Yeah.
I'm really worried that if Rosie's a bad break, that could be season ending as well.
Yeah.
But we have cover for Rosie and
for the week.
McCarthy for the week. Then you can get off him next week.
And West Coast have Richmond too, by the way. So McCarthy will be a pretty good cover, I reckon, for this week. So
he cover? Yeah. So just watch the news. I think we're right to assume Cherry will be suspended, but we don't. The tribunal, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I can't see a world where he gets off. Just the way that we are with concussions now. If play gets knocked out, it's always the outcome, which we know, and it was a clumsy act, which is careless, and it sort of fits all that. So if there is a world where he doesn't get off, then obviously that's good. We don't have another forced trade, but then we probably turn to Rosie as a trade out. But yes, I think that he will be unfortunately gone. But exceptions says, tell Tom my round rank of 51,479 this week has hit beat. So you know it's a bad week when people are trying to compare. Look at how bad my rank is. You know it's a bad one.
Yeah.
Tim has also got another super chat there saying, what happens if you got English and Marshall? Well, if you got the two of them, but you're holding them both. Only if you're in a very, very luxury position, you can trade Marshall. If Heath is still in there, then you could look
Marshall's
at
got an okay. Marshall's got a fine run though. Like I know it. Like Grundy's a hard matchup, so I know he shared, but Marshall still took the majority of the ruck. He went behind the ball. He might get a few more +60s behind the ball with this kind of an actual like tall guy who can take the forward 50 stoppages. So, and Marshall's run to end, especially if Cherry suspended. Geelong, who have got no ruck. Gorn's hard, but then it's Ruckless, North Melbourne, Richmond, Essendon, GWS, who are all greens.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I wouldn't be jumping off Marshall if you got him. I wouldn't be jumping on him. If that makes sense.
Hopefully, as a Marshall owner myself, I'm hoping that he's solo next week because he could be big against Geelong if he is. And final sort of thing we'll talk about before we wrap up as well, because I think this is going to be answering a lot of people's questions this week, is obviously with Nick Martin being out for the remainder of the season, we're looking for a forward, and we've chatted about a few options, Tom, throughout the pod. Mm-hmm. So ones that come to mind, I think the obvious move is if you didn't have a Bailey Smith, you could move to there. If you didn't have him, this would be your ticket to get him in if you weren't doing the Grundy trade in the ruck, but obviously that has certainly complicated things. But the guys around the same price are Brian Myers, Jack McRae. I think Matt Kenny's probably off the list for the time being, just he's dropping a lot of money. So if you don't have him, you're waiting. But they're the guys there. You've Petrarca as well, good option. Luke Jackson, maybe too expensive just with some of the other options there. But I guess if you've got some of these other guys, you're looking at it. So how would you rank, I guess, the top three options if you didn't have any of them? Who would you be looking at?
I think JHF is one, just because what it allows you to do on the other end. It'll allow you to still make an upgrade this week if you don't have Cherry or Rosie and you're in a great space. And you can, if you do down to JHF, you can probably still make an upgrade this week, which is fabulous. McRae would be second for me, definitely. And apart from that, I don't think you can go up from Martin. So
Petrarca?
You might be shopping in the Petrarca Warner kind of areas. You can. I prefer one of the other two though. You should. It should. If you don't have both of those, if you have both of those already, then maybe a Petrarca over Warner, just because the role's a little bit better, is around the ball a bit more.
Yeah. Austin, how would you sort of rank your few? I know you were saying you're pretty keen on like maybe a Grind Myers potentially as well, but he's obviously a little bit more expensive, right? So
yeah, I think I agree with Tom there. JHF is probably the one that probably is at the top just because you can use a cash for elsewhere. If you don't have Bailey Smith, it's pretty straightforward swap. Somehow just get him in. It'll make your weekends a lot less stressful. I can tell you that from my experience anyway. But I think if you're looking for cheap areas, you even as someone who traded Rankin this week, he is probably an option to trade back in if you really wanted to go there. You can't really trust Darcy as a tall forward, can we? He's going to score those good ones, and then he could score some shockers. He might be okay as a 23rd premium, but I wouldn't be trading into him. So, yeah, you probably got Horn, Myers, Jackson, Rankin, and then, Baz Smith is at the top if you don't have him. But it's slim pickings down there, and I've sort of made the rule that I don't really trade forwards. So this was pretty much my first forward trade of the year, and it's actually gone backwards for me. So I should have listened to myself.
I agree. I think, I think that if you've got the cash, I think I'd arguably have McRae at 1, but I think for a lot of people, Horn-Francis is going to be at 1 because that cash saved is probably going to be really handy. That's probably going to get you, well, even if you've got no cash in the bank, you still need cash to go up to a Gawn, right? So you're probably going to have to go down. So a lot of people probably won't be able to go McRae and then a Gawn or a Grundy. They're probably going to have to go down, which is why Horn-Francis is probably the number 1 option out of all of them this week. And then McRae. And then I think if you've don't have either of those guys, I think Petrarca's probably next. I think they're the 3. If you've somehow banked 300K and you could maybe go for a Grind Myers as a pod and get a Gawn or a Grundy, I think that's a play as well. But a lot of people, that won't be a lot of people at this point of the year. I think the most people would be probably what I've got, 180K if you cashed out of like a Loman last week and just did a bit of a sideways upgrade this week. So will be a very, very tough week. But we won't get to a heap of the individual questions tonight because hopefully we've answered a few of them tonight. Obviously, we've just recapped everything and we've answered a few super chats, which we do answer on the Sunday nights. But we will be answering all of your questions on Tuesday night because we'll have 48 hours to have a break. Who would have thought going back to work and everything would be a good break for fantasy? That's how I feel. That's how I feel like at the moment. It's to sort of go back to our bloody normal lives. Yeah, and then we'll come back on Tuesday night and we'll answer the question debrief there. But if you, in the meantime, if you would like a team review, probably null and void this week for a lot of people. But if you'd like that, or you'd like a guaranteed answer to your question, or just want to help spice a little bit extra the AFL Fantasy Fanatics, you can head to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics if you'd like to get involved there. But boys, I guess we'll quickly whip around the rooms. Austin and Tom, I know who you're trading out. We're trading out Cherry and Martin. Who are you bringing? Who at this stage would you be bringing in, Austin, without a sort of guest thinking about throughout the week?
At the moment, it's probably JHF and Gawn, I think. But I'll see. I'll see if I can somehow get maybe Myers and then see what ruck I can afford and work out. See if the averages work out and see what points and all that. So, yeah,
I like it. Tom,
it's a tough week.
Yeah. I think because I've got 160K in the bank myself, I think I can just squeeze Gawn and McRae. So I'm going right back to 2019 because that's where my team. I think I can just squeeze those two, and that's where I'm going. I think I'm going the better forward over the better ruck.
See, I think at the moment I'm going the other way at the moment. So I've got 182K in the bank, and I think I'm going for Grundy and for Jason Horn-Francis. If I can get McRae and Gawn to be interesting, but I think that I'll be able to forward the Grundy one, and I think he could be someone that if you don't get him, I just don't know how you're going to get him because he's just going to stay expensive with all those good matchups. So that is what I'll be planning at this stage. But as we said, it is Sunday night and we will see what happens throughout the week. We may have more issues that pop up that we need to deal with. Hopefully not. But that'll do us for the round review tonight. If you did enjoy it, make sure you smash like on the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. But Austin, mate, thank you very much for coming on and making your pod debut, mate. I'm sure we'll get you back on again. Hopefully you can stay right in amongst those top 50 and even maybe creep towards that top 10, maybe top 5 mark, mate. But where can people find you across the socials? Do you have X or anything like that? Where can people follow you to see how you're tracking along?
I do. I started posting last week, but not, I don't really post too much, so I don't really have a base there at the moment, but you can find me on X at Austin Smith, I think. Austin Smith. I'll pop up.
Yeah, well, I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you post the stream, and then I'll chuck it in the description of the pod and the videos. Go give Austin a follow, give him that base, and then he might start posting there more regularly so he can see how he's going. But mate, thank you very much for jumping on with us tonight. Tom, mate, thank you for jumping on once again. Where can the people find you across the socials?
You can find me at Tom_Hales_ if you want some washed coach advice. That's where to find it.
Oh, mate, don't be too hard on yourself. You've still got number 2 hat. You've got number 2 hat.
I do.
You've still got a few weeks to still claw that week back. So,
maybe not.
It can only get up from here, mate. It can only go up. Don't worry.
I know.
Yeah.
I was waiting for lockout to lift. I'm frantically refreshing my phone to try and get lockout to lift.
I'll wait for that. I'm surprised it hasn't actually lifted yet because it normally does when we record, but we're actually going to finish before it does lift, which is surprising there as well. But you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. I'll be back for all the usual content throughout the week. And we'll be back on Tuesday night, as always, for our Tuesday night Q&A, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Perth time, answering all your AFL fantasy questions. When we've got a lot more information, we'll have confirmation of if Cherry and how many weeks he's going to get and everything like that. So we'll chat about that on Tuesday night. But sit back, guys, relax, take a breath, take a time away from fantasy, and we'll chat to you guys in a couple of days. Make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to hit 5K subs on there, so if you can help us out with that, that'd be fantastic. Podcast, 5-star rating and review, that would also be very, very much appreciated. And we'll catch you guys on Tuesday night for our Q&A. So thanks, everyone, and try and have a good night. See ya.
Thank you.